Hi everyone. So this video, we will be looking at conflict, arguments, disagreements, whatever you want to call it. So if this is the very first video you've watched of mine, what you need to know is you will need to stop and pause this computer in a few moments just to go and grab a drink. So I have got a hot peppermint tea here, but you can go and grab a glass of water or a coffee, whatever you like. So in this process of clearing our ancestors and the problems they had with arguments and conflict, we will need to be drinking to them. So we were going to be drinking to our ancestors possibly about 4 or 5 times. So you only need to take a small sip of water or the tea or coffee, whatever you have. I'd also like you to find a quiet space to do this. Now, it is quite possible if you've got a nice park close by where you can sit quietly, you can go and do that and take a drink with you. If not, then find yourself a quiet room to be in where you can be undisturbed for about 10 to 15 minutes and just have that drink with you and turn your phone on to silent. All right, so let's just have a minute or two to talk about disagreements and conflict and to see what you're going to find when you clear your ancestors of this. So we're going to go back 20,000 years here of ancestors. Now, 20,000 years ago, I'm sure you can imagine, as can I, from watching all kinds of historical movies and shows, that there was a lot of battles, there was a lot of fighting, a lot of arguments, all kinds of things. So in other words, if someone had a disagreement with someone, the likelihood is that someone was going to die. So your messages that you will be getting in this 21st century from ancestors is avoid conflict because someone's going to die and it could be you. Now, your ancestors are doing everything in their power to keep you alive and keep you going and keep you living this life. They don't want you involved with conflict because for them, it meant likely death. All right, so let that sink in for a moment. And let's just talk about what that means for you in the 21st century. What that means is you could be avoiding standing up for yourself or calling out bad behavior when you see it. Think about that one. Every time you've had, say, a difficult boss or they've been a bullying type of boss or any kind of difficulty where you have seen someone being bullied and you haven't stood up and said that enough is enough. All right, so it's that kind of thing that you're being prevented to do by your ancestors who are scared that this conflict will turn deadly. Now, common sense will tell you that that's not going to happen. It's not going to turn deadly. However, your ancestors don't understand that and are just giving you that message. Don't get involved, don't stand up, don't speak anything. So we have that type of conflict where it will not end in any kind of disastrous death situation, but your ancestors believe it to be so. Secondly, what else have we got? We've got any kind of anger. We've got any kind of, say, non-physical anger where you just need to state your truth, be honest, be truthful, and then allow the other person to do the same. So this can bring up huge amounts of anxiety, fear, and stress. Again, it's the same reason. Your ancestors are sitting behind you, warning you this could all end in your death. Okay, so now you've got the general idea. And because you've got the general idea now, you can go away and think about what situations have occurred recently where you felt really anxious about speaking up about something that was wrong because you were scared. All right. So in this video, we're going to go back 20,000 years because this is a pretty old problem, right? We've been here a long time and we've all suffered a lot of things. And we know that our ancestors suffered all kinds of things. So we're going to go back 20,000 years to free and heal our ancestors of that horrible time when this happened to them and they ended up dying because of it. All right, now, so pause the video now if you haven't got a drink and you haven't got your space sorted. So I'm going to be closing my eyes. Probably it would be nice for you to close your eyes. If you're out in the park, just sit quietly somewhere and just sip your drink as you listen. All right, so Take a deep breath in and just let it all relax. Let your feet feel heavy on the floor. Come into as much of a sense of relaxation as you possibly can, and just listen to the words and my voice as we call back our ancestors. Calling back our ancestors over the last 2,000 years that suffered deadly consequences of a conflict. Calling you back in now, all of our ancestors over 2,000 years that suffered a deadly consequence of being in conflict, or being angry, or having an argument or a talk or debate that ended badly. Calling you back in now, all of our ancestors over 2,000 years that suffered the consequence of an argument that went deadly. Calling you back here now to feel divine love. Feel that divine truth, divine wisdom, divine knowledge. Feeling the divine light around you and within you, and feeling it move through you. The divine light now is coming towards you, towards your ancestors, and moving through 20,000 years. And right now, moving through 2,000 years of your ancestors, calling back those 2,000 years of ancestors that suffered a deadly conflict and they died. And as this divine light, divine truth reaches 2,000 years of our ancestors, there is a sense of freedom. There is a sense of knowledge, of understanding why their life ended this way, why they suffered in this way, why the time, the era, the century that they lived in had so much conflict, so much anger, so much misunderstanding. Calling back 2,000 years of our ancestors that suffered from a deadly conflict. Calling them back here now to feel divine truth, divine light, divine wisdom. And now feeling the lifting of the burden. The lifting of the energy, the truth of that time. The freedom, the release. And I say thank you, and I drink to you. Going back further and further to our ancestors. As blood calls blood, we are calling back our ancestors. We are calling back 10,000 years of our ancestors that suffered from a very deadly consequence of being in an argument or a fight with someone. Calling you all back here, all those that suffered deadly consequences of arguing, speaking the truth, speaking about what was wrong and what was right, speaking about bullying, speaking about abuse, speaking about everything that they saw that was wrong, and then they suffered and they died. Calling you back here now, 20,000 years of our ancestors that suffered the consequences of being involved in a conflict. 10,000 years of suffering, 10,000 years of ancestors, 10,000 years of ancestors suffering, not wanting to get involved in a conflict. Yet their truth was calling them, their truth, what they saw in their life, what they saw around them. And they spoke up and they died. Calling you back here now, 10,000 years of conflict, 10,000 years of our beautiful ancestors, our great-great-grandmothers, our ancient grandfathers, our ancient cousins, our ancient aunties and uncles, all of our extended family, 10,000 years of conflict through our extended family. And we call you back here now to feel now our energy. The descendants, your descendants, are here now, sending love and asking for the divine light and love to move through you. moved through those times, moved through those eras, those centuries, 10,000 years of conflict that went wrong, 10,000 years where you spoke up and got killed for it, 10,000 years when you said something was wrong and you got killed for it, 10,000 years when you tried to stop abuse and violence and got killed for it. 10,000 years. And now we ask that the divine light and love flow through to the 10,000 years of our ancestors, 10,000 years of great-grandmothers crying, 10,000 years of great-grandfathers crying, 10,000 years of death and misery, all caused by a conflict gone wrong. 10,000 years, and we ask now divine light and love is flowing through those 10,000 years. Divine light and love are flowing through, bringing with it wisdom, understanding, the full truth of your lifetime, the full truth of the era, the century that you lived in, the place, the geography. It all was meant to be this way. 10,000 years ago, it was all meant to be this way. And with the divine light and love and the wisdom that is now available to you on your life in that time, there comes a settling. There comes a freedom. There comes a knowing and a wisdom that was never possible for you before and is possible now. And as that wisdom flows through, that knowledge, there is a freedom. There is a lifting, there is a settling, and there is the breath of the universe around you. And everything can be at peace. And I say thank you to you, and I drink to you. Reaching back further and further, reaching back 15,000 years of conflict, 15,000 years where your ancestors got involved in a very deadly conflict, where the consequences meant that our ancestors died because of it. Calling back 15,000 years of our ancestors going into a conflict and they did not know they would be killed because of it. Calling you back here now, all of our great-grandmothers, our great-grandfathers, our ancient cousins, our ancient aunts and uncles, calling you back here now, all those that suffered deadly consequences for that argument, for that fight, for that disagreement to spiral. Calling you back here now, 15,000 years. And as you return to us, your descendants, as you return to hear, to listen, to be with, to sit with your beloved descendant, calling in now the divine light and love, the divine light and love that can now flow through your descendant, through 15,000 years of descendants that suffered from the consequences of a disagreement that went wrong. 15,000 years where a disagreement became deadly and you died. 15,000 years, and we are now bringing in divine light, divine wisdom, divine truth, divine knowledge. And as the divine light moves its way through you, there becomes knowledge, wisdom of your lifetime, wisdom and truth of what happened. Wisdom, truth, and understanding. And the understanding brings a sense of settling, a sense of freedom, a sense of healing and being and allowing the past to settle. And as our ancestors from 15,000 years are with us, there is the settling and knowledge that the world is fine, that it was meant to be, and that time can settle, and the freedom and love and divine light can flow and exist with the wisdom and knowledge it brings. And I say thank you, and I drink to you. Reaching back further and further. We're reaching back 20,000 years of conflict, 20,000 years where our ancestors suffered deadly consequences of becoming involved in a disagreement that went wrong, an argument that escalated, a fight that got out of hand. Calling you back in now, all of our ancestors that suffered from a disagreement that escalated into something deadly. Calling you back in now to feel divine truth, divine love, divine wisdom, and the knowledge that it brings. Calling back all our great-grandmothers, our ancient great-grandmothers, our ancient great-grandfathers, our ancient cousins, our aunts, our uncles, the boys, the girls, all across our extended family, 20,000 years of our extended family that suffered from conflict going wrong. Calling you back here now to feel the truth as it moves through your descendants. Divine light and divine love are now being called through our descendants. Through 20,000 years of divine light and love are now moving through the centuries, moving back further and further and further. And as the divine light moves further and further back in time, there comes truth and wisdom and knowledge. The truth of your lifetime, the truth of that conflict, the truth of that argument and that disagreement, the truth of the time you lived in, the truth of the era and the century and the way that we were back then. Calling you back here now to receive that divine love, receive that divine knowledge, that truth. And now there is a lifting. There is a settling, there is a knowing. The knowing comes, and the freedom and the acceptance and the realization is that all was exactly how it was meant to be in that lifetime. All was exactly how it was meant to be in that lifetime. And with that settling, that understanding, that wisdom and knowledge you now have as it comes to you with white light, with divine love. The truth is now freeing you, settling you. 20,000 years of blood calling blood. 20,000 years. 20,000 years of arguments going wrong, becoming deadly. Disagreements escalating, fights getting out of hand. Calling you back here now to feel the truth, the wisdom, the love. And I say thank you and I drink to you. One last time, we're now going to say thank you to the ancestors that have joined us, all the ancestors that got caught up in deadly conflicts, arguments, disagreements, fights, all getting out of hand, all escalating into something unwanted, unneeded. Thank you. And with the thanks and the divine love, we are saying thank you to you for the warnings, for the love, for the presence in our lives. And we say thank you for sharing with us and being with us. And with the divine light and love flowing through us right now. Divine truth flowing through us right now, reaching back through our ancestors. For the last time, we drink to you and say thank you. Just open your eyes if you've had them closed. If you have a time to sit with a minute or two, if you're feeling the energy move through you as I'm feeling it moving through me. If this is the first video you've watched, the first activation and clearing you've watched, you may have some vivid dreams tonight, or possibly even the next few days, or conversely, you may have nothing at all. So anything is possible, but your ancestors, as I can feel them and I can feel the amount of energy that has gone through, At whatever time you watch this video, you are listening in the time of now as I say it, and you will feel the energy in one way or another. Thank you for joining me today. Please watch as many videos that clear your ancestors' energy as possible. The more you clear, the better your life will feel, and you'll feel in yourself. Bye for now.